to me, it's more like you can suss out what kind of soul someone has, and if they are working in the game industry because they want to make money and because they are wealth is their objective, or if they're there because they love the journey, because they love to make games and they love the idea of waking up every day and go, oh, I can make art and I can hang out with my friends who make art. And I got a few contractors working for me. My studio is Bucephalus Studios. We're working on a game called Cult Game, uh, where very bluntly you start your own religion in a sort of procedurally generated dark fantasy world. It's kind of like ASCII art theme. So if you look at Dwarf Fortress and you look at my game, they look very similar. Yeah, and it's at least with the sound effects stuff today, I was doing like there's parts of the game where you can summon demons or you can do like blood sacrifices. So I was like trying to find like really sort of uh I was trying to like layer together the sound of like a biblically accurate angel that someone made on itch.io with like the sound of like a bloody like knife impact. Yeah, so
Okay.
some kind of like some very some stuff I don't normally do because I program all day, but yeah, so that's my background. That's what I'm doing today. It's pretty fun. I love it. I wouldn't change it. Hmm.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna pull up here, do a little showcase. Let's make sure this looks okay. And of course, I have to adjust the size. So let me do that real quick. But this is your Steam page for the game, and I'll put the link in the description of this video as well for people that are interested in checking it out. But
Sure, yeah.
yeah, I thought this was a really cool game. We've seen it at GDEX, and then before when we were in the quote unquote green room, we were talking about how you guys just released a fun little trailer, a live action trailer that was sort of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a quasi found footage kind of thing. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and so that was really cool. So, um, you've how many folks do you have working with you on the team right now?
So I'm a solo developer.
Yeah.
It's just me. I bring on one or two people if I need like specific things done.
Okay.
But at least if you're thinking about like the trailer, I had one of my friends in college who was a film major, and he started his own business doing like going to businesses and filming meetings and doing development talks and filming stuff for their websites. And I said, "Hey, I got a really cool project for you. Like, I want you to film this. We're gonna find like a sort of an industrial tunnel area, and I want you to film like a found footage trailer with me." And he was so into it. But so that's one of the guys I bring on, at least for creative stuff. I bring on other guys for the art, and my cousin's a jazz dude. We brought him on for the music, but it's kind of like an auteur sort of thing. I like to have full creative control. So yeah,
Okay, okay. Yeah,
yeah,
and obviously the you mentioned the ASCII art. For those who
yeah.
aren't maybe familiar with that term, it's in essence you're sort of using the keyboards, symbols, and letters and everything to construct the larger aesthetic. So
Yeah.
like what brought you to that? Was it something that you've always sort of enjoyed, like the aesthetic of?
So this is actually like I've talked to another guy who people might have seen his game on Steam. He's gotten a couple daily deals. He's been going around the game dev spaces a little bit. His name's Hugh Millward. He's the creator of War Sim, and War Sim is a game that's been doing pretty well on Steam. He's sold over like 100K copies at this point, and we've had similar origin stories. And I asked him as well, "Hey, why'd you do ASCII and everything?" And he said, "I didn't know how to use a game engine."
Mhm.
And that is exactly the answer I'll give you today. I did not know how to use a game engine, and I felt like, well, I might as well just make a project that I don't can not know how to use a game engine for. And then it just sort of grew Lovecraftian tentacles and got way too big. And I'm like, okay, well, we're sunk cost fallacy on this at this point. Let's just finish
Sure.
it.
I mean,
So just sort of using the medium that way.
sure. So we do a mentor session. I guess I
Hmm.
should mention every Wednesday and Friday. So Wednesday at 3
Hmm.
Eastern. And one of the folks that we had last week was a indie studio like solo dev kind of like yours. And part of the
Hmm.
conversation that we had was around the art style and the aesthetic because he was kind of doing it all himself. And I like, there's nothing wrong with that, but also you want to make sure that you're creating a sort of visual presentation that one will be eye catching, but also is sort of like thematically tied together. Uh,
Sure, yeah.
and I think that, for a lot of developers, well, I should say a lot of programmers, programmer art is there for a reason, right? Like that's a real thing.
Right, right.
And so I think a lot of programmers have a little bit of trouble figuring out, well, I can design my way around an engine, or I can, make some really cool back end stuff. But how do you put that all together? And I think when you're looking at doing something like ASCII art, it's almost like, this is maybe not a perfect thing, but it's almost like doing like cross hatching for art, like with a pencil. Like you have
Right.
to use all these little symbols. So I assume as you were working on it, you probably got significantly better at it, just personally.
Well, Uh, this is a guy who I brought in. I did a little bit of like the concepting myself, but I found a for the ASCII art. I said, you know what, we need to be like, if this game is going to look like this, we need to stand out and be the absolute best. So I actually found a guy from Finland who is winning all of these what they call demo scene art competitions. And demo scene, I had to learn all of this as I was figuring this out too, because I needed a good artist. Demo scene is the type of art that is made on old computers using ASCII art, using ANSI art, basically like the mosaics of computer keys and symbols turned into 2D art pieces. That genre they call demo scene. And I went to a couple of these art festivals like online, and I saw the guy who was winning all of these was a guy who did like gothic art with like skulls and kind of occult themes. He did like his own tarot card decks with ASCII art, and I hired him. And I'm like, hey, do you want to help out with this? And he was super eager. His name's Little Bitspace, and he's sort of been the entire visual force behind all of the art in the game. And I've been directing him, but I think I can let him be a hero artist and make a lot of the decisions on his own, just because he just has this is his wheelhouse. This is the type of art he would want to make for a game anyway. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think
yeah,
that's great. And the way you sort of presented that, when you
hmm
bring people on as a team, and this is something we talk a lot about. Like I spend a tremendous amount of time between GDEX and the accelerator and the incubator, just coaching and mentoring and
hmm
helping studios. And hiring is one of the biggest points of contention for a lot of people. And
hmm
one of the big things I think is, if you are bringing somebody on, oh, I just realized I got the wrong stream title in here. I'll have to fix that. When you are bringing somebody on, you want to bring somebody on that has the skill sets, but you also need to trust them, right? You need to
hmm
trust that they are going to be able to do this. And it's not a skill thing. It's like a sort of relationship working well together kind of thing, where, it's like,
hmm
I brought you on because I believe in you and I think you're going to do a good job. And it sounds like that's kind of the position you're in with him.
Yeah, yeah. This online artist, Little Bit Space, I got super lucky. And I think it just goes to show that like if I was making something that was different thematically, he might not be interested because I don't really have a name in the game dev space yet. I've not really released a game. I've talked to some people. I have some friends and connections here and there. But if you are bringing something to life that sort of is like an allied vision of somebody else, you it's it's yeah, it can create that relationship immediately that you're talking about. It's you implicitly have the same vision, so it's like, okay, well, even if we might be across the world, even if even if I've not like gotten a good idea of what the game feels like to play yet, uh, we've shown each other this is the type of references that we love. This is the type of artists that inspire us. Um, we're gonna we're gonna get along just fine. And you after you make that first agreement to get together with them, then it's just a matter of like, okay, how good are we about communication? How good are we about taking feedback and whatnot? But yeah, yet again, I'm at the start of my career. I'm just learning that, but I've been pretty lucky with this first contact. They've been really good to me. Mhm.
That's awesome. I mean, that's pretty, jumping out and being a solo dev is a pretty risky thing to do. Like,
Oh yeah.
did you feel like you were ready for it? I mean, had you sort of, and again, you don't have to answer any of these questions. I always just like to ask because I
Okay.
think it's important for folks to hear other people's journeys. But like, did you feel like you had enough money saved up, that you had a good game plan for how you were going to execute
Oh
on
yeah.
this, or did you just kind of jump into it?
So, combination of the both. It was after I got out of my corporate software engineering job, I made quite a bit of money and I saved up quite a bit, so I was able to fund myself for quite some time just off of that. Yeah, that was fine. I felt pretty secure about that. As for like skills acquired, I I went to school for computer science. I took a game dev class, just one class. I didn't like go to school for game dev. I've made a couple small games under my belt, and I'm like, okay, let's do something for real this time. And I got a little bit of validation with Cult Game. Originally, was like a BuzzFeed quiz where it was like I'd ask you some questions and then I tell you a little story about the cult you make. And I got tons of validation for that and the way that looked among my friends at college. And I just decided to like go full send on it. And at least like if you're talking about like okay, your skills, your finances, and all that other stuff, um, I felt like I had the skills at that point. I definitely learned quite a bit, as the process continued. And I will say that if there are people out there starting their first game as a solo dev, you probably will need to like do a massive refactor at some point. You probably will need to take something and scrap it, and it'll really hurt to do that. Like Phil Fish, I think when he was working on Fez, like scrapped the art like 3 times after he did an entire like redraw of the game 3 times, and it kind of hurts to hear that. But you kind of outgrow your work as you grow as the project grows. You kind of outgrow your work and you can redo stuff better. Sometimes it's worth it to do that. Sometimes it isn't. At least for the finances, I had money saved up, and I got a part time job too that does everything I need it to. And then there's also the idea of how can you minimize your other expenses that aren't necessary to at least make everything work out. Because the whole idea, if other people are doing this at the same time, maybe they can relate to it. You are working a job that does not immediately make you money. It's all backloaded, so
Hmm.
it's kind of hard to at least wrap your mind around considering that starting up. But yeah, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one of the
Yeah.
issues with software design in general and games specifically is that you just have this long development timeline where you're not
Hmm.
generating any revenue. And maybe if you're lucky and you get a publisher, maybe you can do some early access, maybe you can do crowdfunding, but none of those are sort of gimmies, right? They're all uncertain. And when you're
Right.
when you're spending time working on something with no income, it's very challenging. And then, like you said,
Mhm.
there's things that you just are going to need to hire out for too,
Mhm.
and those things cost money. So it's a scary endeavor. We've been doing it since 2012, and it is what it is, I guess. But it's fun. And then yeah,
Yeah.
you also mentioned something that is another piece of advice that I give to a lot of developers, particularly new developers, which is like don't I see this all the time where they feel like they're going to make this part perfect, then they're going to move on to the next part and make that perfect, and then they're going to move on to the next part and make that perfect. And unfortunately, if you start doing that in the very beginning, like yeah, you want to have a really good solid foundation and make sure that the skeleton you're building will be, scalable in the way that you need. But particularly when it comes to a lot of the code and the art, by the time you're a year and a half or 2 years into that project, you're just going to be way better at it, and so you're gonna have
Mhm.
to go back and kind of redo some of it anyway. You said refactor or redo the art.
Mhm.
And so I think a lot of times it's better to kind of just start to get that skeleton and flesh that out and begin to work on it.
Mhm.
And then you can do another pass. But it is not uncommon for any game to be doing 2 or 3 art passes. That's a very common thing.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I totally feel that. At least for the code, or like one thing that I like to tell people, and I hope everyone feels this with the games that they make, is that, and this feels like kind of a beautiful thing, is that the all of the work that I put into the game is a culmination of like most life experience that I've had. And that's why people take so much ownership of the games they make, and it feels like their baby, because it wouldn't have turned out the way that it had unless they had every life experience that they had up until that point. After I finished my corporate software engineering job, I learned about software design patterns that I had a little bit of a skeleton of cult game going in college and when I was in before my first corporate software engineering job. After that job, I was like, okay, I'm looking at my code for a cult game now, and there's so much here that needs fixed. And now the game looks a lot better, and And I feel like, okay, I couldn't have never finished this if it weren't for that job I took, or I would have never had this perspective on art direction had I never talked to this one person at this event. And I think that is, yeah, it's just it's a really beautiful thing, and it's necessary to go through, I guess, the growing pains on the first couple games, I suppose, or
Sure.
on games where you're learning new hardware or new design patterns. You have different roles, so yeah.
Wow, man, you're just picking all the, like, the life lessons that I give to students and indie studios and stuff, where it's like that's another thing is I tell people, like, make sure you're getting out there, like, connecting with
Hmm.
people, showcasing at things like COG and GDEX, but that networking is super important because you never know who you'll bump into, and you never know, like, right now you may not need this specific person, but then 6 months or 9 months or a year goes by and you're like, oh man, who is that guy that did the voice acting or whatever. um
Yeah, yeah.
and once you start building those relationships, you'll also find too, we're all a bunch, kind of a bunch of weirdos in the games industry, and we just love doing
Oh
this. And so a lot of
yeah. Mhm.
times you can hit someone up and you'd be like, oh man, I would really love to work with you, I'd love you to do this thing, I've got like $50, and they'll be like, okay, yeah, I'm happy to do it, for fun, and be a part of the project or help you out, and maybe you work something out on the back end, for sales or whatever.
Mhm.
But a lot of us in the game space, like, we want to see each other succeed, and we want to be
Mhm.
involved in cool, fun projects. And if you can put yourself out there a little bit, I know a lot of us are introverted and whatnot, but just sort of go out a little bit. Man, did you go to I can't remember, were you at the GX mixer last year?
I wanted to, but I was just so tired at the end of the day. My friends were there. Rob Cravens and Tori Cravens.
Mm-hmm.
I Yeah, my friends were there. We're pretty good friends, and that's we actually uh met through my mom's choir program. So yet again, weird ways you meet people that you
Sure.
have really good connections with in the game industry, and they've been super helpful to everything I've been doing.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, they were there. They said they had a good time. So
Yeah, I think last year's, I'm not trying to rub it in or anything, but I think last year's mixer was
sure, yeah.
probably the best one we've ever done. It was a ton of fun.
Mhm.
I think this year's will be better though, but
Sure, yeah.
it's those kind of events where you just get to kind of like hang out with folks and get to know them, and then eventually that's what networking is. I think a lot of people view networking as like, you bump into somebody, here's my card, and here's your
Right.
card, and like, networking is really just about making those communications. I mean, so for example, we were talking to PlayStation about GDEX trying to get PlayStation out this year, and
Mhm.
we were chatting to. I'd never talked to this guy before. He's been at PlayStation a while, but sort of a new contact. But then we were talking about our previous contact at PlayStation, and he's like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah." He's like, "Yeah, she still works here. She's just in a different space." It's like, those little intros build on themselves over the span of your
Mhm.
20, 30, 40-year career, and they're super super helpful. So, uh, you've been well, I guess you said you've been, I guess, having the idea for this game for probably what, like 5 years or something now? If you were doing it
Uh,
in college?
yeah, yeah. So I had a this was awesome. I took a class. I went to Denison University. It's a liberal arts school, so we're all weird there. It's a place out in Granville, Ohio, where you put a bunch of college students on a hill, sort of separated from larger society, and they do a bunch of weird, silly stuff. And I took a class on cults and sects of religion in the religion and sociology department, and it was so interesting to me. I just thought it was kind of be like, "Ah, it's kind of a meme. We're gonna talk about cults, ha ha ha." But like, we actually got people from new religious movements to come to the class, and you could talk with them, and it's just like so fascinating. Uh, and Cult Game, I wouldn't say is specifically based off of like real new religious movements, but it was just so fascinating to me to see like these people and who are, you would say, are on the margins of society, are marginalized with the type of things that they believe, and it just, it felt just like, wow, there's all these people out here with all these various belief systems, and I don't even know, what they do when they go to their religious services. And what I did is, as a result, is I made a little BuzzFeed quiz, like I mentioned, on what kind of religion you would want to make and what it would turn out to be. And it turned into a little Mad Lib thing where, oh, this is your religion. You are trying to you're trying to launch yourself into the sun, and these are your core commandments. And I played it up as more of a like a Hollywood pop cult horror themed thing, but everyone loved it. They had a lot of fun with it, and I just decided to keep on working on it little by little, and yeah, it turned into this what it is today, and it's we're I think we're gonna show it at the roguelike celebration in October as well. So it's getting up there. It's getting big.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's really cool.
So yeah,
So excuse me, I'm still fighting this cold from COVID or
you're
this
good. It's
cough.
something's going around.
I this I think I'm on week 4 of this thing and I just cannot kick this cough, man. It sucks, but
Mm.
um so you got your trailer out, came out in October. You're still cranking away
Yeah,
at this. Do you have a release plan? You know, how much longer do you think you have until you are you
yeah.
feature complete
So
yet? Like how you feeling about it?
yeah, so it's a heavily system intense game where I guess the best comparison I can make to it is it's like Dwarf Fortress Light. It's kind of like Civ but pandemic, where like you are controlling a religion in a civilization type game where you're spreading your religion, you're doing things to accomplish your religion's goal. Very system intense, and for that, I have needed to develop a lot of the features up front just so they can all play with each other and see like how it works out as a game. And for that reason, it's taken quite a while to get a demo going. I'm gonna have the demo up and ready at a game festival up at the game festival. I think I mentioned is going to be. I don't have confirmation on it yet, but I want it to be roguelike celebration this coming October. I think right before GDEX, and yeah, we'll launch the demo there. You can play the demo for free on Steam, and we're going to get a lot of feedback from that. I don't want it to be like a full early access thing,
Okay.
but a demo. And then from
I've never
the
heard of this
demo and the
event.
feedback we get from that, then we're going to do a full release based off of all the feedback and the polish we get off of that. So yeah, uh,
Awesome.
it's the development process. I've heard this from other strategy game developers. The development process is very front loaded, where you get all of the systems up and running, and then you put content in and you tweak the content to get it to work well. And yeah, so hopefully the latter half of the process is much shorter. But yeah, it's definitely been a very much a front loaded process. Yeah, especially when you're not working in an engine and you have to make your own engine and stuff like that. So yeah,
You programmers and making your own engines. You just can't help
yeah.
yourself.
It was out of ignorance. I wouldn't do it again. There's programmers who do that just to be like, oh, look at me, I'm flexing, I'm a programmer. I made my own engine, and the only other people who care who are programmers. Like the a lot of the time the players don't care unless the players are big IT nerds or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I know I haven't heard anything lately, but I know Jonathan Blow is working on his own engine. The guy did Braid and
Oh yeah.
the Witness. And
Hmm.
then but we've seen a little mini renaissance of engines like Godot and I mean Game Maker's been around forever and Game Maker
Hmm.
RPG and whatnot, but Godot's really seems like it's punching above its weight lately. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I've never heard of this. Was it roguelike celebration? I've never heard of that
Yeah,
before.
it's more of like an academic game festival, but they have a featured page on Steam during that, and that's kind of my goal is to get a bunch of traffic and talk during that. Roguelike Celebration is it's a game festival for roguelike games and for games that are kind of like ASCII oriented solo dev projects. And if you give a talk during the festival, because it's like an online, almost like what we're doing right now. It's like a bunch of virtual talks over the internet, and if you give a talk, they'll feature your game. So that's my goal is to give a talk and to have Cult Game featured there, and have a bunch of roguelike fans check it out because it is in addition to being um, a grand strategy game where you're propagating a religion, there's a part of the game called Crusades where you can choose a little tile on the map and you can pick something on the tile. So let's say maybe like a market or like a house, and you can pick that, and then you can send several of your dudes, up to four of them, in a crusade, and then you get plopped on the map as the characters, and you can walk around and I made it so you can like go up to people and flirt with them. I made it so you can go up to
Ooh.
people and preach to them, and yeah, like
Can you
so you can go and just
can you make
drop a
little
bunch of
ASCII
pickup lines.
babies?
I've not added like marriage and children in the game yet, but I think a lot of people will want to have that is like I'm gonna go up to a random person in the game world, flirt with them, make a bunch of babies and propagate my cult that way. Like there'd be someone who would get some sort of fun out of that.
Yeah, totally, totally. It sounds. Ooh, do you want to get down, sweetie? Here's a baby. Say hi, sweetie.
Oh, hello.
Um, yeah, it sounds like it's got some like kind of plague uh like vibes to it, where you're sort of trying to get across the world. But yeah, that's really cool. I mean, anything that's like real systems heavy is always a big challenge. Not that, some of these other games are making like a AAA game has obviously got its own challenges and whatnot. But
Mhm.
I think anytime you're really creating like a really heavy systems based game, it's just one of those things that kind of it has to work. Like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, And I don't
Yeah.
even mean necessarily with the coding, but just like conceptually from a game design point, like if all those different systems don't integrate together in a smart way, then
Mhm.
the game just kind of doesn't work. So that's a big task, man.
Right. Yeah, yeah, and, that's something I've worried about because not every I've been working on it several years, and not exactly everything is put together, but I think based off what I've seen so far, I think it's gonna work pretty well, and even then, I'm just tweaking stuff here and there to make something more friendly, just the idea of having fun, but, my goal, at least I realized halfway through the dev process, is that people enjoy the idea of they enjoy the idea, maybe not the actual concept of a super highly simulated strategy game where there's tons of variables at play, and a butterfly could flap its wings, or a little decision you make could ripple throughout the game world and cause you to win something or lose something, and you want to feel like you're decisions you make, your strategic decisions are identified with you. Like the entire permutation of every single strategic decision in the game that you've made, you can identify with yourself. So that when you win the game, when your cult wins the game, it's not your cult winning the game; you win the game because, like in cult game, you can design your own religious beliefs. Like you can make a vegan cult, and the vegans get certain buffs. Like vegans get more karma, but they're not as strong because they don't eat as much protein. Or you can be a cannibal cult, and the cannibal cults get extra strength because they eat a lot of protein. But at the same time, too, the cannibal cults, everyone hates them, and they don't. The message is not. It's not really a well marketable religion. So you are
Sure.
usually a very small cult if you're a cannibal cult. So you through all these like zany and silly belief decisions that you permute and make your religion. It I People love the idea of like a highly simulated game like this, and they love that, but I think they don't like the absolute like microing that comes with it. They don't like the I have to read a textbook to learn how to play Dwarf Fortress. And while Dwarf Fortress is an amazing, awesome game, and I am so inspired by it, it can be intimidating to folks who just want to get the experience without reading a textbook. And I'm
Sure.
trying to deliver something like that. And
Yeah, yeah,
it's
totally.
yeah, yeah. So at least making all of that work together, at least I'm whenever I come into a fork in the road design wise, I'm like, keep it simple, stupid. Like it's don't add 50 nested variables or something. Just yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Tom in chat here says, intense systems for years and then intense quality of life for years is kind of the process. You spend a lot of time developing those systems out, and then you spend a lot more
Mhm.
time making sure that they make sense and that they're accessible. Um,
Right. Yeah.
and that's tough. And I mean, what's the play time you're shooting for?
Ooh, so playthroughs of the game, I kind of want to play through to take anywhere between like there's different win cons of the game, and the win cons will vary your playtime. But let's say like a world domination playthrough where you just capture every tile and every person in the world is your religion, maybe like 4 hours,
Okay.
like sort of like a shorter Civ game. But there's other win objectives like launch yourself into the sun, and for that one you need to create blueprint you'll have multiple ways to do this, but you'll need to like create blueprints for a trebuchet or a cannon, and then you need to put your guys in the cannon, and then you need to launch yourself into the sun. So like, how can you do you need to go to libraries to steal engineering textbooks, like stuff like that,
Hmm.
and that might take a varying amount of time compared to just capturing every tile. So yeah.
Yeah, I would think launching your cult into the sun with cannons probably takes longer than just taking over the world, I would think. Um,
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
but who
if you
knows?
spawn in next to next to a university though, and maybe you capture a scientist, maybe you can make him do research for you, stuff like that.
See, now you're thinking like a cult. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, so well, let me just ask: is there anything else about the game specifically you'd like to chat about? Because I wanted to kind of start talking about a few just like industry things in general while I have you, but happy to talk about whatever you'd like.
That's all right. I really appreciate you having me on and wanting to talk about whatever, was on my mind. At least right now, for Cult Game, not really. At least I think that's it for mainly like the game features. The only thing that would be on my mind right now, and I'm curious if you have opinions on, is ways to sort of get your game out there and to market before release, because everything that I've heard right now says you need to go to game festivals. You need to put yourself out there, get a demo out there, and then start getting feedback and collecting wish lists that way. Is there anything that you've heard differently about that, or is that general like advice that everyone would say?
Yeah, I think that's generally. I mean, you're asking like the question of the moment, right? Because
Yeah,
it's rough out there. The industry's rough, and everybody's trying to figure out like how do I
yeah.
get my product in front of people. Um, I assume like are you probably not looking for a publisher at this point, so that's not.
No, yeah, I kind of want to maintain control of everything, and yeah, I don't even think I really need a publisher at the moment. But yeah, no publisher.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I
Mhm.
think, and this is just my opinion, so you can take it for whatever it's worth, but
Sure.
I think that, yeah, building a community around your game is important, and you can do that by numerous things. Like you can do video essays, little blog things. You can just like you could record like a 20-minute video a week about where the game is or a feature you've added,
Yeah.
and throw that up on YouTube. But just get some stuff going on there because you want to start building that SEO and having a Steam page, the search engine optimization. Um, Having a Steam page is just not enough. Like there's a
Hmm.
bazillion Steam pages and it's just not enough. And I think going to shows is really important because, and I wouldn't look at it. Some people look at, well, I'm going to go to a show and get 2,000, wish lists or whatever. And I
Right.
was just talking to a guy at GDC a few weeks ago about how they went to PAX East, which is, 40, 50, 60,000 person show. And I think,
Hmm.
I don't remember what the number was, but it was something like they got like 50 wish lists or something. It was something
Right.
so small. Um,
Hmm.
and I was like, yeah, PAX is a little bit of a different beast, but when you go to these shows, you're also starting to build relationships with potential customers. And
Hmm.
more than that, if you start to get, even if you come to, I'm just saying, like, let's say you come to GDEX and you get, I don't know, 50 to 100 wish lists. You're like, okay, that's not a ton of wish lists, but maybe you met 5 to 10 people that were like really into it, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
then, you've got your social media set up, you've got your website set up, you got your Steam page set up, and then those people will start to like follow you, and then hopefully over time, if they're really into what you're doing, they'll start to become your biggest advocates. And so I think
Yeah, you
that,
get some brand champions.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's really what you want to get is you want to find people that are gonna to be your champions. And what's going on now, what I'm starting to see in pretty much every industry is that folks are looking for like real authentic experiences. And I think we're coming out of COVID, everyone's burnt out, the political world is a hot mess, and
Hmm.
people are just looking for like authentic experiences. And so when you're like, "Oh, hey, what game should I play?" It's like, yeah, you can go to the IGNs and you can check out Metacritics or whatever, but maybe I would just come up to you and like, "Hey, Jeff, what are you playing? What kind of game should I be playing right now?" And
Hmm.
people are going to take the words of their friend more than some random website. And so
Right.
I think that's a really important piece. And then additionally, obviously, when you're going to shows, you never know who you bump into. You might bump into a publisher, an investor, or a journalist that's willing to cover um, your game. And so I think that that's a really good way to get yourself out there. Now, the thing with events is that it's hard to like the odds of you hitting like a virality loop at a show are very small, right? It's a
Mhm.
lot. I'd say it's easier. It's a lot. The mechanisms of virality are built into the internet and social media in a way that they're not with physical shows. But
Right.
you can never plan to hit a virality loop. Like you just can't do it. And so I think peppering in the online presence with being out there. I think this is a lesson that Unity had to learn the hard way. When they first started, particularly when they were moving from like Unity 2.0 and 3.0 into Unity, was that like 3 and then 4?
Mhm.
They were in the community all the time. They were at user groups. They would come to things like GDEX. They were just all over the place. And then they sort of hit this level of success and they stopped going to these events and they stopped spending money. They stopped supporting community groups.
Mm.
And Epic came in and just kicked them in the teeth, you know? And one of the examples I always give for this is like, you know, the largest soda manufacturer in the world is Coca-Cola.
Mhm.
Anyone want to guess who the largest marketing spend on soda is? It's also Coca-Cola because they realize that they, even though they're at the top, you don't stay at the top unless you are continually building that relationship with people. So then that comes
Yeah.
to the third peg, which is always your spend, and you're gonna want to start doing. I mean, you still got a while, but I talked to teams. I was talking to one last week, one of our portfolio companies. It's like, oh yeah, we want to release our game in like June or July, and they haven't done any community building yet, and they haven't started
Oh,
any
wow.
marketing yet. I was like, you guys, you need to be spending 3 to 6 months at least. I think 3 to 6 months is good because if you're starting to get like over a year, people just kind of forget about it. But you're
Mhm.
gonna want to start doing some paid promotion through some mechanisms, whether that's subreddits that are aligned with the type of game that you're making. Um,
Mhm.
I think another thing too for your game is that since it's really based on this interesting art style, like see if you can get into like some gallery shows or museum shows, or hell, actually afterwards
Oh,
i'll
I
connect
like that.
i'll connect you to the guy who used to run the video game art gallery. So just remind me when we wrap this show up.
Oh, well, thank you.
um,
Yeah.
and I can connect you to him, and that might be a way to kind of get the visual aspect out there, the artistic aspect out there, and that might garner some interest. Because you mentioned like Fez, Braid. Oh man, I'm totally blanking on the other. What is the Manifold Garden? Is that it? That had that like MC Escher vibe to it.
Oh,
Like games like that are usually pretty attractive to the art scenes. And you know, as a total side note, that might be a way if you have any local art groups or coalitions, might be a way to get a couple $1,000s in grants or whatever. Could be kind of cool.
great. Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, that would be my thing is start the community building, online presence, social media, start attending like as many events as you can that are within your budget. That will allow you to showcase the things, and don't just think about game events. Think about like up in Cleveland, the Cleveland Institute of Art usually has a show. Like I don't know if you know Jared
Mhm.
Huntley or not.
Oh, no, I'm afraid not.
Okay, let me just make a note on a few
Okay.
things here. I feel like we're already doing a mentoring session here. I should have you on our 3 o'clock mentoring session today.
Okay.
So let me do, yeah, maybe, I mean, if you have time, that could be cool. We could kind of recap this because other people might be interested. If no pressure, but if you have time.
Sure.
And then Jonathan Kinkley. Okay. So, and then you'll eventually start doing your paid promotion. And since you're not working with a publisher, you're going to need to be pretty strategic about how you do that. And I don't know what your budget is, but my guess would be you're not going to have as much money as a large publisher would. So you're just going to have to
Mhm.
kind of think about that. Um, but yeah, those are generally the three avenues for marketing.
Great. Yeah, I really appreciate hearing that. I've done a little bit of what you've suggested so far. I've done at least referring to Reddit, I've done a lot of Reddit posts.
Okay.
Every time I make a devlog, I have a YouTube channel full of devlogs. I release one I think on average every 2 months because I really want it to be good. And I originally made the devlogs targeted like to more of a technical or game developer audience, but then I realized I was building an audience of game developers and not necessarily like people who wanted to be entertained by the game or would buy the game.
Mm-hmm.
So then I switched to making my videos more entertainment oriented.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but I have like I think I got 1.5K subs on YouTube. That's all right, just for
Sure.
little old me. And I'm sitting around like 3,000 wish lists right now. We're I think the biggest gains that I've had, and also, I mean, I've never, other than GDEX, I've never been to a virtual game festival, and I really want to go to a lot of those. But at least the stuff that I've not done are the virtual game festivals, and then using Reddit for ads instead of just posting, but using the specific promotion feature on Reddit, which I think would be really good. Um,
Yeah.
my biggest gain so far, and you're right about just knowing people, is that the biggest ASCII game developer on Steam, Hugh Millward, the guy who made War Sim, sold over 100,000 copies at this point. I became pretty good friends with him, and he has like a quarterly, like this quarter in War Sim likes, or games that look like his game War Sim, and he put me at the top of the list. And overnight, I got 1,000 wish lists,
Nice.
which is awesome. Yeah, and I just what I'm starting to do is I realize that at least in the ASCII niche, I know some other games like Pokemon and other creature collector games. They view themselves as highly competitive, or like the hero shooter games, they view themselves as highly competitive with one another. But for ASCII games, I think the vibe is more like, hey, we're such a niche that if someone buys your game, they probably will buy my game. It's more like a thing where the players are just happy that there's more content rather than a game competing for their time. Uh,
Absolutely.
and that's the thing that I've sort of talked to all the other ASCII developers about, or games that use the similar art style or systems based kind of intense games like this. They've said, yeah, let's promote our games together. Let's go on each other's YouTube channels and talk. Let's show off our games, and they've been really receptive to that. And they're just looking for platforms to do that. So hopefully, I get to be that for some of the other ones, and even bundle some games together because some folks are really excited to do that. If they look at your game, and I'm really fortunate to have my artist on Cult Game, and I think he does an amazing job. Some people look at that work and they're like, man, I want to be associated with that, and I'm really happy and fortunate that people want that. So yeah,
Totally.
yeah,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
I think you've hit on a lot of things, and the what you mentioned about people working together. Um, the interesting thing about video games, now this is being a little bit, there's an asterisk here just because the state of the economy is pretty rough right now, but
Hmm.
video games aren't like buying a car, right? Where you're going to go and you're either going to buy a Ford, a Honda, or a Toyota, and then that's the car you're going to have for 5 years. Most players that buy video games, that are really into video games, are willing to buy multiples, and if they're really into a genre, then they'll support that. And so
Hmm.
I've always, and this is sort of the base of GDEX, is like we are here to support each other and help each other out. And if you're just here to kind of get as much as you want and then bounce, like you're not really a part of the community at that point, right?
Right,
Um,
right.
and so I think, yeah, finding those relationships and building those relationships is really important. Um, and one of my patented lines is always, you don't want to be chasing success. And what I mean by that is, you don't want to be standing there when success comes barreling towards you and you're not prepared to capture it, right?
Mhm.
So sometimes this happens when maybe a YouTube video, one of our portfolio companies, uh, one of their videos ended up going viral, and I don't even remember. It was like, I want to say it was like 14 million views or something. Like it ended up getting.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was something crazy. Um,
Hmm.
and so you want to make sure that when you are, if you do hit that virality loop, if somebody like your friend does post about your game, that you've got all of your, your Steam page and everything ready to capture that. And so
Right.
so you're ready. So it sounds like you're in a pretty good spot here, but then yeah, also start making friends and relationships with people that you can trust are going to work with you and have your back. And I personally, again, this is just me, take it for whatever it's worth. I don't really
Mhm.
have an interest in working with transactional people because those,
Transactional, okay.
yeah, because those transactional, like if it's just like a one off part of a relationship or a business thing, then that's fine.
Mhm.
Like I need this from you. Like I go to my doctor when I need a doctor, but like I ain't best friends with him, right? But
Right.
there are a lot of folks who will only spend time and only give you effort if they view like they can get something out of it, like right now. And
Mhm.
what you want to be doing, and this goes for everybody, is building those long term relationships that may not, become fruitful for years. But when they
Mhm.
do, there's an opportunity for them to help you. And then in exchange, you offer that opportunity up in whatever way would make sense. And that's kind of like the
For
ethos
sure.
for GDEX and the sandbox and everything we've built. I always joke that like, when somebody like you, when Jeff hits it big, hopefully you'll think fondly on the little people along the way that have helped out. But,
Yeah.
that then you've built a community that can really, I think, thrive. So for whatever
Yeah.
that's worth.
No, no, I agree with you. I think I can tell, and you seem like you can too. You can suss out pretty quick if someone is just there because they think that you can give them something,
Hmm.
or that they think that like I've gotten DMs like cold DMs, anonymous DMs from people saying, "Hey, I want to put your game on my subscription game platform that doesn't even exist yet," or something like that.
Mm,
And I'm
yeah.
like, "Oh, okay, this guy's just trying to make money off of me." And it's not about it, or I get the AI generated message like, "I really like your game." And they don't actually want to talk about it or whatever. Yeah, it's to me it's more like you can suss out what kind of soul someone has, and if they are working in the game industry because they want to make money, and because they are wealth is their objective, or if they're there because they love the journey, because they love to make games, and they love the idea of waking up every day and go, "Oh, I can make art, and I can hang out with my friends who make art." And although the goal would be we can make enough to support ourselves, the goal is not to afford a steak dinner every night, or to make it so that um we can extract all the wealth from our player base. No,
Yeah.
it's
You can
it's about
monetize it to, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, we love what we do, and we feel privileged that we get to do it. And if people give us the ability to do that, we're gonna pay it back tenfold. And that's kind of the way that I found a few close friends in the game industry who I definitely feel are that way. Rob Cravens is definitely that way. Tori Cravens definitely that way, and Hugh Millward definitely that way. And it's maybe it's the modern world we're in. I only feel like I only have several close friends, but uh, once you meet someone well enough to suss that out of them, it's like, yeah, I can definitely trust you, and I'm glad we are making art together, or are pursuing this thing together. And it's not about I have to give you guys money, or you have to pay me back for every little thing. It's no, it's I'm going to do this because we're on the same journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's this
yeah.
this funny thing. It's called the millennial barter. I don't know how old you are, but I'm a first year millennial. But
Oh, I'm 27.
okay, so
Yeah,
are you in Gen Z at that point then? Um,
almost on the cusp, but yeah, Gen
okay.
Z. Yeah.
Gonna say like the idea of the millennial barter is like, we'll go out and eat, and it's like, I'll get your drink this time, you get my drink next time. I'll grab you lunch this time, you'll make it up to me next time in coffee. And it's just this general
Mhm,
idea that like we're not going through and like cataloging every expense. There's just a
mhm,
general give and take, and as long as everybody feels like the give and the take is reciprocal and fair, and that people are
mhm.
helping each other out, then at the end of the day, like you don't need to haggle over like $2.13. Um,
Right.
Now that being said, if you're broke and you need $2.13, like ask for it, right? But
Yeah.
creating a system that allows you to have space, the safe space, if you will, to engage in those kind of relationships without feeling like you're going to get taken advantage of, I think is important. And there's a lot of folks right now in the gaming space and the tech space that they're just trying to get what they can right now. And part of that again is just the
Mhm,
general economy. We're sort of in this scarcity mindset right now,
mhm,
and it's tough. But yeah, build those relationships, and
mhm,
I think over time. And again, like I'm happy to help. Like everyone that's sort of
Mhm.
involved in GDEX, like if you want us to do an event at GDEX, like some kind of playtest or showcase
Mhm.
or marketing thing, like, we're happy to do that. We've had companies that have made like little weekend long competitions, so I'm happy to
Okay.
do that. Or if it's even just like, hey, we're about to release on early access, would you let the community know? Happy to do that too. Like
Well, thank you so
we're
much.
here
Yeah.
to help folks. um and so, yeah, I mean, I think it sounds like you're doing all the right stuff. This podcast has kind of
I
turned
hope
into
so.
a mentoring session, which is fine, but um
That's all right.
that's what
If
we're here for. Other people can learn. There's, folks are saying stuff in the chat and asking questions. I think that's great.
Yeah, yeah, and yet again, I don't necessarily want this to be all about me if you have things you wanna talk about with the game industry, but I really appreciate, you being gracious about that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think we're in a good space. We're actually getting kind of close to wrapping up. So,
Okay.
but before we do though, like, what are some good ways for those that are watching this to get a hold of you or follow Cult Game?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So if you search, I think we're winning SEO, Chris. If
Okay,
you search cult game one word, I should come up.
okay,
Don't no space. Bucephalus is kind of hard to spell, so I get it. You can just search cult game one word, or if you search Bucephalus Studios, if or cult game devlog on YouTube, I come up. Um, I also have a link tree. But yeah, I my website too is just bucephalusstudios.com. Uh, but yeah, cult game's probably easier to spell and comes up a little bit easier. But from the Steam page, it's linked to all my other socials. A fun thing if you want to hear more from me, and lately it's been more comedic content. Is I had the cult game devlog is about the new features developed in the game, and the most recent video I have videos for developers like, oh, this is what happens when I release my Steam page and my Steam trailer the same day. These are the statistics. Like, this is the impressions I got. This is my strategy. I had a whole video on that. But more entertainment wise, I had a video on creating a vegan hippie death squad in Cult Game and walking into a cave and finding a vagrant and killing them and taking their corpse and sacrificing all just weird stuff.
but not eating it. That
No, no, no.
that's for the
We it was vegan.
cannibals. Yeah, exactly,
Yeah, yeah. We were vegan.
exactly. Um, Sweet,
Yeah.
man. Well, really
Yeah.
appreciate you having you on the show. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And hopefully I will see you at GDEX this year.
Of course. Yeah.
Aw-
It's a lot of fun. We always love going. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, friends, this has been episode 101 of the Sandbox.Space weekly podcast. A reminder, we do this every week now at noon Eastern time. We're doing it at 12 Eastern time. We also take these videos and post them up on our YouTube channel so you can watch them later if that is of interest to you. And then we have some GDEX info. I keep saying this every week. We're just waiting for a few things for GDEX to kind of get signed off on. But we'll have some GDEX info for you as well coming up here soon. But for now, I want to thank everybody for watching the show on behalf of myself, Baby, Pumpkin, everybody in the chat, and our special guest, Jeff. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.